You guys asked for a tulip tutorial, and I have not had any success with tulips that I really thought were easy or fun to create that also looked good. And then I was drifting off to sleep and I had this idea. So I'm going to show you an idea. It may not work, but it might actually work really well. So let's figure it out. And it's going to have a couple steps to it. And let's see what happens. I think this could be really amazing. So what I know so far is we're going to be using acetate, and I'm going to cut this into squares. Right now I just have oblong pieces. You're going to need some tape and a pair of scissors, and then of course your regular piping supplies. So I'm going to get started by cutting my acetate. And then here's what we're going to try to do. We are going to cut slits on each side and then tape them. As someone who sews and has done a lot of pattern making, I'm employing some of my skill set here. So what we're just going to do is we're going to create like a dart. So darts are something that you put in clothes to make them fit curves. Now I recommend that you use Scotch tape, not packing tape, but this is all that I have right now, so I'm just going to use it. So we're going to take this little notch that we've cut and we're going to fold it over just a little bit. Why? Because what we want to do is create a curve. Now I don't want mine to be super sharp, so I'm going to try to just create a softer curve. And then I'm going to tape it on the side that is curving in, or concave. Yes, I think so. Because you won't be able to peel the tape off of your paint. So just think about that. So look, there's one side, and unfortunately I'm starting to see an issue there. This is kind of sticking up. So I'm gonna have to figure out something for that. And then we're just gonna take the other side and do the same thing. And then we're gonna have something, I'm gonna cut it further so that my line isn't so sharp. All right, so there we go. And what I'm actually gonna do is I'm gonna cut off this extra lip, at least most of it, and just leave the tiniest little line of it there, because I don't want paint sitting on the tape, but I can't have this sticking up through the wet paint, otherwise it's going to cut it and leave it looking bad. So here's what I'm creating. Can you see the shape on that? You see how it's kind of more angled on one side and then has a longer angle on the other side. Now I'm going to use my marker and demonstrate how I envision this petal appearing once I pipe on top of it. It's kind of tricky to mark evenly on a curved surface, but I'm going to try. And remember, I'm marking on the back side of the acetate, not on the side that's going to be touching my flowers. I learned the hard way that that doesn't look good. Okay, so this is what I envision a tulip petal looking like. Now my plan is that I'm going to create several tulip petals for one flower. So I'm going to let you know in the end of this video how it panned out because I'm just right now starting out the experiment. So what I intend to do is pipe along the outside of here, and then hopefully the petal will dry and shape in that beautiful curved petal shape, and hopefully it all works out. So now I'm going to start experimenting, and I hope I can teach you some helpful tulip knowledge. Once I had all of my acetate pieces molded and taped into place, I started mixing my paint. And I am using Gaffrey Art Materials Titanium White, and I am mixing in some neon pink from Liquitex. And I really like to get the Gaffrey Art Materials paint in white and mixing in other colors, because I do tend to work with some pastel and colorful shades. So for me, it works really nicely to just be able to mix it all myself. Every now and then I will prefer to buy the paint in like a bright red or a bright orange or something that is really difficult to mix on my own, while still maintaining the consistency of the Gaffrey paint. So if I need a deep color, I will usually buy them. But normally, like, I love pink, and working with pink is one of my favorites. So that's a color I like to mix on my own. And then now we're just gonna get into piping the tulips. And I'm using this little clay ball to hold the acetate, because now that I've set it on a curve, I needed something to make up that negative space. And then I'm still using my piping nail, and I am just very slowly and carefully piping around. Since I ended up having a little bit of a gap in the tulip there in the middle, I used a paintbrush, and when it was wet, I didn't really like the paintbrush look, but when it was dry, I actually really enjoyed it. So in retrospect, I would say choose to do that. And then also just try to not leave a gap in the middle. It's kind of tricky, and it does require you to be very slow and careful. But look how cool that looks. I just was so proud of myself for coming up with this idea, because it's such a cool and different approach to tulips. I haven't seen anyone else do this, and so I was just really excited to give it a try. And then actually, as this video goes on, you're going to see me switch over to a different style of tulip. And although I really like these ones, I think the other ones are simpler and they look really, really good. So this is a super cool tutorial for you today, because I'm gonna give you several options for how to make a tulip. So here we're just gonna go in, and I'm gonna pipe them onto a flat piece of acetate. And you can see I already put my guide on there, so you can see exactly the shape I'm going for. I'm starting at the bottom, I'm turning the piping nail, and I'm trying to always keep the angle of my edge of my piping tip out and up. And then for the second one, I really wanted to create a much more complete tulip. So I ended up adding those 2 petals on the sides and back, and I thought that looked super duper cool. So this was actually my very favorite approach. It was super easy, it was super fun, and it looked really good when it was dry. And because this is so thin still, when it dries, like technically you could add either a pocket of paint underneath or put something underneath like clay and make it look like it bulges out a little bit more, which is kind of the idea I was going for with the first style of tulip. But there's just so many ways that you can make this work for you, you know? And that's just really why I am showing you so many versions of this tulip, because as I was figuring this out, I really had no idea what I was doing. And I wanted to show you possibilities and also give you a tutorial, which meant I had to figure it out in the first place. And so here's another version of how I tried to make a tulip, and I don't like this at all, but I just wanted to show you like the variety of approaches that I tried, because I really wanted to give you a good tutorial. Now this to me looks a little bit more like a peony, but look at all the rest of these. They look so good. And then here I'm just gonna peel it off and show you what it looks like. And you can see also I'm working on a painting, and you can definitely come back and watch how I created it. And I also used the iridescent paint in the background for this one. And you can see how cool that looks with the extra petals in the back. Oh my gosh, that is just so cool. So these are my favorite. I highly recommend that you try these. Out of all of them, these were the coolest. And of course you can trim them with your scissors to get them that perfect round curve. But thank you so much for watching this video with me. I hope you try making tulips and I hope you love them. Remember to send me pictures of your cool artworks, and thank you for watching. Bye!